Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com also. Ooh, number 5. We'll do it that way too, but we'll do it this way. Video presentation. Anyway, okay, so we've basically got McToon in the last segment. Okay, number 4, it is pretty funny. Basically saying that the formula 1/2 mv squared does not mean that if you increase the velocity number, the number squared, say by 5, that doesn't mean that you will cause, okay, the e number, or the equals, what comes after the equal sign, won't be also, because of the square, 25 times bigger. When, of course, it will. There's all just multiplication in the formula. The 1/2 doesn't matter. It's a constant. So when you're comparing two things, like something going 10 miles an hour and something going 50 miles an hour, the 1/2 would affect both proportionally, so it's sort of irrelevant. Anyway, it just has to do with how many joules it is. It doesn't have anything to do with how many multiples of the energy or the fuel you would need. So if you need 1 gallon of fuel to go 10 miles an hour, you need 25 gallons to go 50 miles an hour. Just a fact. And he ignores the facts. So he knew in advance what the subject was, and then pretends the subject isn't that formula. And the fact that the formula is, as I'm saying, garbage. Yes, it's absolutely nonsense. And he's defending it because, well, there's no reason he's defending it besides because they say so. And he knows it isn't right. So he knows it isn't going to be 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. He knows that. And he won't just admit it and say, yeah, obviously the formula's crap. So he'll just keep defending it even though he knows it's wrong. That's as fair as you can get, is a summation. So he really is just a liar. Alright, so let's continue. This gets a bit interesting.
Pone.
Yeah, I love that part.
You're just asserting that you've won. No, I'm not asserting anything that physicists haven't said, okay? It's an absolute fact.
To all the comforters.
Oh, that's disappointing. I will be uploading a non-commercial version of this.
Imagine, what do you think this v squared means? How many times do I have to write it? V squared means twice the velocity. I square the velocity. That means 4. It's 4 times the force. Twice the velocity, 4 times the force.
3 times the velocity, 9 times the force. 4 times the velocity, 16 times the force. The force either as an outcome or the force as an income. It doesn't matter. The energy and force here are kind of equivalents. It just doesn't make any difference. The force causes the energy. The energy is a product of the force. You can't get away from the fact that they have to increase identically.
That assumes that you're attaining the velocity in the same distance, because energy is...
It has to do with the crashing car. They claim energy claims when a car's going twice as fast, it should do 4 times the damage. That's the claim.
Energy is force times distance.
Oh, brother. So just 4 times distance. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, it's just baby talk. We know the car doesn't go 4 times the distance, okay, when it's going twice the speed. No, it goes twice the distance. It's only when you try to extract the energy and friction is taking it away, and friction's caused by gravity. That's when it goes 4 times the distance. So if we just take what he said as the truth, twice the velocity is only twice the distance in the same amount of time, so therefore it's only twice the energy. I mean, the formula is crap, but this whole idea of obsessing about distance when you know all of these forces are about time. You get crushed by a weight because it has time to crush you. If I don't give it time to crush you, it can't crush you.
Oh, I'm gonna go insane if you're not gonna pay attention to the argument. The formula doesn't have distance in it. It's 1/2 mv squared.
Oh, yeah, it's just amazing. We know what velocities are, okay? We can measure velocities. That's why we call it a v. It's because we can measure it. We don't put something else in there because, well, it's velocity. We can measure a velocity. Twice the velocity is going to be 4 times the energy. That's what the formula says. There's no doubt about it. And again, if this is what arguing with people who are science defenders, if this is what it comes down to, that you have to argue something that's written right in the formula. It's unmissable. It's the whole point of squaring it is to create this effect, and they're arguing the effect doesn't happen. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're arguing that their own formula that they're defending doesn't work.
Equals force times distance.
It's 1/2 mv squared. There's no
Is
fucking
equal to
distance in
force-
it.
is equal to
1/2
force
mv
times
squared equals E. Okay, don't tell me what the formula is.
Equals force
It's just amazing. It's amazing, really, just amazing.
times
All right,
distance.
he's changing the game. Forget it. Forget it. I'm talking about mv squared. I'm not talking about some crap formula you made up that's also wrong. I'm talking about 1/2 mv squared.
Okay, GH.
I'm talking about
GH, we've been over this. It's clearly a time-dependent force. It's 9.8 meters per 1 second. What does H have to do with it?
1/2 mv squared. Explain to me how the squared velocity doesn't mean it's 4 times the force. Of course it is. It's 9 times the force if I go 3 times as fast. It's 16 times the force if I go 4 times as fast. That's what the fucking squared velocity means.
You haven't got the formula right, sir.
Oh, I guess I forgot just how it just went on and on and on. I haven't got the formula right. It has it written right there. 1/2 mv squared. So if I make the v a 5, squaring v is 25. So it's 25 times the mass. It's going to be a 25 times the amount. It's all multiplication. You can't miss it. If I made anything, if I squared the mass, I'd end up with the same problem. Yes, it's going to make sure that everything is quadratically increased.
Oh, I'm just ridiculous. Too ludicrous. My Python. Oh, that's too ridiculous. End this clip. No, we got to end the show. It's too ridiculous, too silly, too nonsensical.
Look at the formula for you can look at the formula for maximum velocity of the pendulum. The pendulum, right, sir? This is
Look at what formula. He doesn't have. You can't even write down whatever he's talking about. Whatever his magical formula is.
E equals 1/2 mv squared.
equals force times distance.
Energy.
Equals force times distance, sir.
Oh, he just keeps.
Oh, he keeps doing the same thing. So in space, especially, right? If I launch something at twice the velocity in space, I can wait 6 billion years and I can measure their distance. And the one going twice as fast went twice as far. So the distance is only 2.
Changing
There
the
are other
subject.
ways. There are other ways to derive force.
The distance is irrelevant. The distance is just velocity dependent. It doesn't mean damn thing. Okay, no, it
GH is
matters.
gravitational potential energy. GH is gravitational
Just so bad.
potential energy. The change in gravitational potential
I
energy.
already argued this previously. A couple of hours ago, we already argued about MGT is the better formula because it gets right answers when you use meteors or anything.
No,
MGH doesn't work with an object that already has velocity.
That's nonsense, sir. The change in height.
Oh, that's nonsense, sir. Yeah, he calls himself PhD Tony, so I have to find this liar's channel. Because obviously, where's he got a PhD in? Fucktarding. He's a real professional fucktarder. I'll have to see if we can find. Well, I guess I can always type it in. Ugh, pathetic moron.
I'm sorry, it's absolutely the truth.
You can be sorry all you want,
Tony-
you're just wrong. You cretin senile old fuck.
Yeah, well, same to you.
Yeah, he calls me a cretin when he's participating in this, sham process of, oh yeah, let's have a debate, but let's not talk about anything like a physical experiment.
You piece of dirty, smelly, rotten human garbage.
Oh, Gary. Tony, can you get closer to your mic or something? It's a little bit soft. And Gary, Gary is super yelly.
Sir, I'm a professional scientist.
No, you're not.
You're not a professional scientist. What a joke. You're an idiot. It's obvious.
You're a jerk.
Well, I can be a jerk and a professional scientist.
He's both
Okay,
at
what
times.
is
Yeah.
your professional degree in? What is your
What's your professional degree in? It's not exactly physics. It's almost physics, but not quite.
professional degree in and what school did you go to? Does it have to be a
Australian National University. My degree is in geophysics. I have an undergraduate degree in
Well, whatever geophysics is. Is that like painting your nails?
mathematics. What's your degree in, sir?
I didn't assert that I have to need a degree. I'm spared being an
Yes, you don't need a
imbecile.
degree.
I'm spared being an imbecile by not going to the catechism. Okay, I didn't go ask the Pope what I should believe. All right, you're all deluded dupes.
All right,
You're
Gary.
So he's shutting me up for no good reason.
deluded
The only
dupes.
person who says that
shush,
the right is
Gary.
you. Is that
Yeah,
why?
I don't. The fact is, I'm perfectly.
So after this, he did start muting me without informing me that he had muted me. So real, desperate kind of tactic.
Satisfied that
What
I've proven my
validation do you
argument.
have that you-
I have a working simulation of charge. You show me
So
one.
you haven't actually done anything in practice, have you, sir?
I have a
So these people are amazing. I don't want to go through what I have done in practice, but I was really quite innovative when it came to modifying design features for industrial machines.
Working simulation. I have a working simulation.
You're proving it right, Gary.
You've got a simulation.
You're
of
proving it right,
something
Gary.
that we already have a model for.
Where is it? Show me your model of chart.
Yeah, they have a model for charge somewhere. See, I mean, what's the point, right? I mean, obviously, physics has no idea why electrons repel and why protons repel. And their idea for why they get protons forced together, well, obviously, that's pretty ridiculous. They just make up a new force that nobody's ever seen.
What causes charge?
Charge is a result of relativistic symmetries, right?
Where's your
Relativistic symmetries. So somehow he can say the word relativistic symmetry, and that explains why electrons repel and protons and electrons attract. Oh, that's right. It doesn't do any such thing.
simulation of charge being produced by a simple model? My model only has, 2 kinds of force, 2 kinds of matter, and 3 interactions, and it perfectly duplicates charge.
Well, the fact that you don't know what the competitive model is not my fault, sir.
Oh, there's no competitive model. So, again, it's just a lie. If there was a competitive model, there'd be a video somewhere, somebody showing, say, look, this is how charges work. This is the force that makes the charge work. There's no such video.
I can find the expert.
I don't see it. I can't find it. So I need you to help me find your competitive model working. Show me your simulation of charge. Show me your description of why electrons repel and why protons and electrons attract.
Thermodynamics, sir.
I'm just saying, show me your diagram of why they are attracted.
So now he says it's color dynamics, right? But there, the whole point was, I'm saying, go ahead, show me the simulation. If you say you have one, let me see it. Show me, and not a simulation of charge. Show me the simulation of why it happens.
To each other and why they repel.
Quantum chromodynamics.
Yeah, right. That's not
It's not even close.
That's something you're going to be able to simulate at all without gluons and all kinds of special little particles, all kinds of holy ghosts. I've done it with the simplest mechanics possible. No one's going to
So I
do it.
understand that any model you're responsible for is going to be astounding in its simplicity, sir.
Yeah.
It's correctness that actually matters in science.
That's right, and I'll prove you. I'm going to prove you.
Okay, so yeah, the real point is I'm going to prove these people wrong, and I hope they're punished in the future, okay? They deserve to be punished because they're all assholes. They deserve to pay a negative price for demonstrating that they won't listen to the argument, they won't fairly evaluate it, they don't give a fuck about the truth, and that's the fact. They're worse than religious kooks because they're behaving worse than religious kooks, and they're claiming they're doing it for science.
Okay, I'm going to bury you.
Simplicity is not the criteria, sir. It is correctness and accuracy to the observation.
That's right. I've been the accurate one. My sentences are all correct. My arguments are all correct. Okay, all the people are
There's no correctness to what you're arguing, sir. All you're doing
Just keep saying, sir. What the hell is that about? Oh, we gotta just go look him up. So let me go pause for a minute and look this asshole up. Ah, found him. So he does some flurfy videos and then some geophysics videos. But this is one. Let's just play a little bit to get a feel for this moron. This arrogant, obnoxious asswipe who doesn't give a fuck about the experiments, doesn't give a fuck about the truth, okay? And I defy him to defend his own fucking rhetoric.
I released a video. In that video, I identified a sequence of events within the community that had caused me grave concern and announced that I was seriously reconsidering my participation within the community. A lot has happened since the release of that video, and I'd like to discuss those events now. Most importantly, there was a significant amount of positive support and encouragement for me as a result. Many of you left some extremely supportive messages, and I deeply appreciate all of you who did.
Oh, he's whining about something, so I guess we should go find out what distressed him so much. Oh, what terrible thing did the community do?
Subscriber count fell below 1,000 and then rose back above 1,000. In technical terms, it could be argued that I owe you 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, brother. Alright, so that's not interesting.
Point, but it also emphasizes the importance of
could I
us
be
being
more
mindful
pretentious and
of how various
snooty?
people are
Could I look
behaving
down
within the
my
community.
nose any more than I am?
Bullying prospers in secrecy. The victims of bullying are often ashamed of being bullied and often
The whole channel is devoted to bullying either retards or trolling liars. Okay, so the trolling liars love it because they've gotten you to waste your time. And the retards obviously are retarded. Why are you mocking retards? Oh. And you're in the business. You're in the business of flirting or whatever the fuck this thing is for you, you fucking moron. You're not making arguments to people who are all interested. They're either too stupid to understand what you're saying, and it's just an absolute fact, they're too stupid, or they're compulsive liars and they just love that you're wasting your time. Can you understand that, Mr. Sleepy Eyes? Oh, Jesus. Okay, so here's this channel. All right, but this is hopeful, okay? He's pretentious enough to call himself PhD Tony, you know, like, I'm a scientist. And he apparently can make a video because he did one 8 days ago. So there's some hope that we can get this lying sack of shit, okay, to defend the nonsense that was said by his comrade in arms, McToon. McToon said mv squared doesn't mean you increase the velocity by 5, you increase the energy by 5. It does, I mean 25. It doesn't mean that because the squared function is not squared, it's squared. Well, what is it? Okay, it either means that you multiply the number times itself, or what is it supposed to mean? Something else? 5 per 5? Should I say it that way? So if I increase it to 5, it's only 5 per 5. And so it's not really 5 squared. It's only 5 per 5. Oh, God, these people are just... All right, so we'll see if we can get anything out of the big fat coward Tony. Sorry to be insulting, but that's all you were here. All right? You didn't give me anything like a fair opportunity. You didn't want to discuss the subject of mv squared and its history, the experiments that defended it, and the non-existence of any current experimental evidence. The fact is you don't have any experimental evidence of this kinetic energy being collected. And as a PhD scientist, not having evidence should bother you. If you're going to assert something is emphatically and definitely true, you ought to be able to show me a piece of frickin' evidence, don't you think? Shouldn't you be able to show me it taking, like, 17 times the fuel, maybe? You know, to go 5 times as fast? There's something close? Oh, you liars. Pathetic liars.
He's shouting over everybody who disagrees with.
Okay, let me just... Look, we already know we disagree. That's not the argument. The argument is what are we supposed to do about the disagreement? I'm arguing you've had 350 years to drop 4 pounds 1 foot and 1 pound 4 feet and end the argument. You've had 350 years to spin a drill. Just take a drill and spin it 1 rotation every 10 seconds or something, and then increase it to 5 rotations every 10 seconds. And show that, look how much electricity it took, 25 times the electricity. You've had 350 years to do some kind of experiment. And I'm pointing out to you that, well, when the Mythbusters crash cars, it doesn't show up. Professor Lewin can't catch any of your, 1/1000th. He lost 99.94% of the kinetic energy. He couldn't collect any of it with his ballistic pendulum. None. And you're saying it's real energy when you can't collect it? I mean, you can't see how you're being so fucking unfair. So don't tell me you care about truth and science. You clearly don't.
And being an abusive cunt.
No, you just keep saying the same thing. F equals MA, 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 F equals MA.
Sir.
Redundant, childish dribble.
We'll believe you when you can do something.
Look, we'll believe you when I do something. Why don't you have to do something? I'm just saying, show me one glimmer of hope. Show me it taking 4 times the energy okay, to no, let's find a good example. 7 times the energy to spin something 5 times as fast. Show me the ballistic pendulum collecting 1% of the kinetic energy, because that'll actually be 1,000% of the momentum. So then you'll be making free momentum, and then we can have an argument about whether free momentum is a thing. I mean, that's the catch with the ballistic pendulum. It's such a perfect way of illustrating how this is absolute nonsense, because if you collect more than 1/1000th of the energy, like, you collect 2 1,000ths, then you made free momentum.
I have a simulation, a working simulation.
You can't understand that argument. You have a PhD in a science, and you can't understand that that's the absolute truth of the argument? That if you actually collect more than 1/1000th of the kinetic energy, you will have created free energy, free momentum, which is the same as free energy, frankly. There's no way to really understand it any other way. If I'm making free momentum, it's got to be free energy. You can't understand that argument. You're honestly telling me you don't understand how, yes, if that's true, that's really paradoxical, isn't it? And there's no way to say it's not true. Those are the only 2 choices in the experiment. Either you get less than 1/1000th of the energy, or you get more than 1/1000th. And you can't understand. Liar.
Go play the working simulation and try to insult it. Try to point out how it fails to duplicate charge. How it fails to produce the strong...
So are you willing to just do that? Okay, it's a 7-minute video. You don't even have to watch the full 7 minutes, right? Watch 3 minutes, and then just see. Oh yeah, well, the charges are doing exactly what charges should do. Yes, it's very simple. Okay, and then call it bad science. Call it garbage or junk. No one should pay any attention, because simulating charge is easy.
Force without a strong force. It produces the strong force, and there's no strong force. So I've eliminated one of your holy ghosts. Made it completely unnecessary.
Well, if you, where has it been published, sir?
Well, anyway, that's what I tell them. I'll tell you again. You're going to pay any attention? Well, who knows?
It's on my channel, DraftScience. It's a video. I published the video just yesterday. It's only 7 minutes long.
Which journal has it been published in, sir? When did it?
I haven't published it. I haven't submitted.
It's a piece of software with these really simple rules, okay? The software will be published, so that's never an issue. Well, I don't even want to argue it. It's so simple. Like I said, a 10-year-old could understand the principle. It's so simple. There's only 3 interactions: absorption, reflection, and change, transition. A 10-year-old could understand.
To a journal yet, okay? And the point is why do you think it would make any sense for me to take the theory of evolution to the book? Would it make some sense for me to do that?
I don't even have to entertain the possibility that...
Okay, it's just so bad. All right, take a little break. Oh, God. Doing it the first time was bad. Doing it a second time is rough. All right, continuing.
Might be correct.
Okay, don't then. That's your choice.
So you're irrelevant, and you're...
So I'm irrelevant, he says. All right, so even though, like I said, I've made all of these arguments and I haven't gotten a single rational debunk, so there's nothing to publish. I mean, I can't publish their counter argument because it doesn't exist. So I mean, I guess I could take the transcript of Bubbles, the Star Trek girl, and publish that next to, all right, my argument. But what would be the point? Because she didn't say anything. And then he said, McToon says that the thrust from the rocket does obey the 3rd law. So I calculate the thrust in kinetic energy, and my rocket will move with the same kinetic energy. So even though in no other case does the 3rd law apply to kinetic energy, I mean, there really isn't any other case unless I have the same mass on each side of an explosion. There's not a single other case ever in the annals of physics where the 3rd law is consistent with the event. The 3rd law was written about momentum. It doesn't apply to kinetic energy. And it doesn't apply not by a law. It doesn't apply by a single shred of evidence that it ever works. Every single time you do the experiment with different weights, you will get a different amount of kinetic energy on both sides. Every single time. PhD Tony, do you understand that argument? That the third law does not have anything to do with conservation of kinetic energy? You do understand that, right? It doesn't apply at all. And so it doesn't apply to the rocket engine either. The only thing the rocket engine knows for the third law is momentum. And that's what will be conserved. And that's what's actually going to happen when the rocket lifts off. It's going to be the mass and the velocity of the thrust that will decide what the mass is going to have as a velocity. It's going to decide how fast the rocket goes. And the rocket going to go with exactly the same momentum it left behind. Can you understand that argument, you motherfucking cunt? You called me a cunt. I think you should accept I'm going to call you one. Can you? You liar. You fucker.
You say so. Okay, we've got your opinion. Fine. I'll say the same to you. Right, you're a symptom of idiocracy. You're a silly dude. You're a silly dude. Just talking religious crap. Okay, a bunch of Holy Ghost theories with no evidence, no physical evidence for a damn bit of it.
To the journal and you're not, sir.
Yeah, journal of what, jackass?
Journal of Geophysics.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, who cares? I did ask him what things, that's geophysics. Who cares?
What's your theory?
I have multiple theories. Which one would you like to hear about?
Something geothermal. Do you understand that gravity is actually what makes the Earth hot? That the molten center of the Earth is actually being caused by gravitational pressure?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Okay, so he's way ahead of the rest of them, right? Because they don't even get this. They don't get that bent space is causing actual physical, the creation of actual physical, not Hawking's radiation, not gravitational waves. No, it's causing actual photons, actual real pieces of energy. It's free energy. Bent space is a great free energy engine.
Well, you're one of the few physicists that even understand that.
Precious, you're going to talk about this with Tony?
No, I work in a school of earth sciences, sir. Everybody here understands that.
Well,
so it's just kind of funny, right? That everybody here understands that when the crust of the Earth really doesn't have anything to do with that part, right? The heat of the surface crust. Okay. I suppose it's the same magma has to come from the hot core. So yeah, it's related.
Then why aren't they accounting for it? That's the creation of energy. I'm just saying, a bent geodesic.
Right. So this is a really good argument, right? A bent geodesic is making real photonic energy. You get it? And how do I turn the photonic energy back into a bent geodesic? Where does that happen in the universe? What's the mechanism that turns actual physical objects moving into bent geodesic?
That isn't supposed to have energy in it is making something that has real energy. Okay, the molten Earth is real energy. It radiates as real photons. So a bent geodesic made real photons that are going to fly off into space and hit other objects and create pressure in those other objects. So I'm just arguing that's a free energy.
So you're babbling incoherently.
Okay, so he called that babbling incoherently. So let me just, we'll pretend that this liar pays some attention. I'll put his name in the title because this is really important. He's calling that nonsense and babbling incoherently. So there is gravity. Gravity is a bent geodesic, okay? And the fact is it's giving everything on the surface of the Earth and deep inside of the Earth pressure. It's pressurizing all of it. The surface pressure goes down into the Earth. It doesn't stop. So the surface pressure of everything that's being affected by the bent geodesic. So the bent geodesic is pushing me down into the Earth. There's no other force doing it. There's no photons, no anything else. It's a bent geodesic doing it. Okay? And because there's so much of the things just like me, there's my chair, and then there's this table, and there's a computer. Anyway, the cement floor, there's a ton of mass that's doing the same thing. It's pushing down constantly. Constantly. It's actually 1 mile an hour of momentum. So at 1 mile an hour, everything is pushing towards the center, and that's what's got the center all bugged and molten. So you've created real heat, which is real motion in atoms, okay, with a bent geodesic. And he thinks it's gibberish to pose the question, well, how is that conservative? Because how do I turn the heat into bent space? How do I do that? How does the universe do that? How does it conserve the energy if it can never put the energy back into the bent geodesic? Can you understand, asshole, that, yeah, the bent geodesic really does have to be a real force? Can you understand that it's a pretty simple argument? I really could, a high school student could probably get this one. That there's a continuity problem. There's a break in your circle. You don't have any conservation circle because you have no mechanism from turning the real energy you made into the nonsense energy of bent space.
I'm sorry, there's nothing babble about it. It's a simple
There is none.
It's a simple argument about conservation of momentum and conservation of energy.
You're arguing about photons creating pressure in other objects. That's not how anything works.
Of course.
So, yeah, so he says it doesn't work that way. So how did I make bent geodesic? How did I do it? I mean, you have to admit it's a ton of free energy if you don't put it back into the geodesic. If the heat doesn't disappear into the geodesic, you just keep generating more and more heat. So it's obvious they shouldn't be saying the universe is going to die of freezing to death because the universe is constantly creating a ton of free heat.
It's exactly how everything works.
No, it isn't how anything works.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it is, but okay, fine. You can say it's not. I'll prove it is.
So I just, I wish people, like I said, so for this guy, look, I have 12 5-minute videos on this subject. You just pick one of them. There's no ridiculing or nonsense in the video, and you just play it and explain how anything I said in the video is incorrect.
We've got a PhD from theoretical physics at Cambridge in the audience who thinks that you're just a clown.
Okay, so tell me who that one is. So there's a theoretical physicist who's got a PhD from Cambridge, he said, or something, right? So who the fuck is that moron? Yeah, sorry. There's a Clive Wells here. Okay, should I look that up? He's big on emoticons. Yeah, is that the guy? Oh, God, this is so priceless.
I would suggest that clowns are actually funny, as opposed to simply obnoxious.
Oh, okay, so that's him. Okay. So let's yeah, I can't go to the name right now. Well, I'll pause again. Let's go find Clive. All right, back. So yeah, Clive doesn't show himself in videos, but he does have some on the same kind of subject. It's he's doing flurfer videos, but they're mostly about some sort of geological kind of crap. So I don't know the equations of Newtonian and relativistic cosmology. So that's not going to get you too far. Let's see, quick derivation of Einstein's field equations. So that would be interesting. Maybe I'll take a look at that. Let's see, doing the pendulum thing that moves as the Earth rotates. How to compute the shortest path between 2 points. Who cares? How to determine the height obscured by your now. Distance, the horizon. Yeah, so nothing very interesting. It's all kind of flat earthy crap. But anyway, we'll see. See if we can get this guy to explain to me how Mr. Toon is absolutely correct that 1/2 mv squared doesn't mean that 5 times the velocity is 25 times the energy. So maybe he could explain how I'm so confused and I don't understand what squaring the velocity means. Maybe Clive could do that. So anyway, back to the fun. All right. I mean, these people are just so obnoxious. They really should be able to handle playing a 5-minute video. That's all I'm asking. You play a 5-minute video and you show where I made all these egregious mistakes. So, debatephysics.com, right down there. All right, there's a bunch of 5-minute videos on different subjects regarding kinetic energy. So you can pick the one that you're the most comfortable with. Yeah. But they're all there. The lever argument, the ballistic pendulum argument, the 25 times the fuel silly argument.
Show me it taking
That's a big
25
gap.
times the fuel to move
That's not
That's
the
not
model.
the claim.
and the whole.
So he says it again. McToon just says it's not the claim. So this guy's a PhD physicist, and he's not going to tell Toon. Well, yeah, it is the claim, of course. The formula wouldn't mean anything if it didn't do something wacky like that. Of course, that's why we love it, is because it's the living force. It's the special, huge power. You know, it makes us all so much powerful. We have so much more power because of the living force.
The whole argument is over. The whole argument is over.
Show us proof that it's linear with velocity. Also, you know that the energy consumption, once you've gotten the car up to say 80 kilometers.
Yeah, so now he's going to make the excuse that somehow once I have it up to 10 miles an hour too, the same things are true. So it's still going to use 25 times more. So it's all just a bullshit argument. And again, if you want to bring friction into the argument, well, then you're going to lose, because then I have the thin ice argument and I have the rolling ball argument. So friction is going to be your enemy, not your ally.
An hour. It doesn't take much energy to keep it there, right? So the point is,
it takes plenty of energy to keep it there, but there's plenty of friction still. And so yes, it's still, and there's
relative to the energy. Sorry, Mike.
I mean, it's idiotic for him to say you don't have to do, once you get your car to 50 miles an hour, you don't have to step on the gas pedal anymore. I mean, you know, the wind resistance is really unfair, so it gets even worse the faster you're going. The wind resistance gets kind of brutal, but the ground friction's getting less brutal. So, and your Jesus, the bearings is getting better. So the bearings work better the faster you go. So yeah, it's a give and take. It's not going to make any difference. So, you know, look, you know, these people are just so dishonest. So Clive, I mean, realistically, you think you can undo a 25 times difference by saying something like, well, once you're up to 50 miles an hour. It's just ridiculous. It's not going to make enough of a difference. It's a 25 times the fuel difference.
There's lots of friction you have to overcome.
Sorry, Michael, you wanted to say something about that?
No, he just keeps going back to the assertion that it is our claim when it is not our claim.
Okay, he said it again. He said it right in front of the physicist. I mean, you know, the geophysicist. So what's the point, right? There's no point in having this argument if you're not even going to accept what the formula overtly says. I mean, it's right in front of your face. There's no way to get away from it. I mean, it's the whole reason why I'm making these arguments, you crazy fucks. I wouldn't make this argument if the formula didn't say that. It's a ludicrous thing for it to say, and I'm saying, well, fuck that. I don't believe in that, just like I don't believe photons go through two slits and then entangle themselves. So fuck you. I don't have to believe it to be reasonable. I'm a reasonable person. I don't have to believe that unreasonable nonsense.
Pretty standard flat earther tactic.
Okay, so it's a flat earther tactic to say, how could he be doing this? I mean, what the fuck is he, how is he looking at that formula with that v squared and then not understanding that, yeah, well, if I change that number to a 5, that would be 25. So, yeah, it's going to be 25 times as much because the matter, you know, I can make the mass a 1. The half is irrelevant, so, yeah, it's 25 times more. How could he be missing it?
All right, what am I getting wrong? Is energy force or not? You don't believe
No, energy is not force.
No, it's not.
Energy is force times
What is
distance.
force?
Energy is force times distance.
Yeah, but it's still not going to matter if the distance isn't going to change. Nothing's changing except you're going 5 times as fast. Well, I guess that'll change distance, but in this case, right, it's 2 to 1. I mean, the distance is completely proportional to the velocity, so the distance isn't going to help you any. 5 times as fast is 5 times the distance, so there's no argument to be made. It's v squared. V squared.
Force is
I just can't. You know, I'm sitting here in just absolute amazement after all these arguments with these fucktards. You know, I mean, I thought it was just, okay, Despar's a retard, Brozo's a retard, Gosling's a retard, Mindless Marbles is a retard. Okay, so what? No problem. Okay, you have to deal with retards on planet Earth. But it's everywhere. You're all fucking retarded. I mean, this isn't a complicated argument. At least they could get that argument. I mean, they understand that what they are defending is they're defending the idea that it does, in fact, take 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. They know they're defending it. What the fuck are you lunatics doing? What are you talking about? I can't believe I have to have this argument and you won't even accept what the v squared absolutely means.
Force.
Well, force is the change of momentum at time.
E equals 1/2 mv squared. You're saying that if I move something twice as fast, it doesn't have 4 times the energy.
No.
Okay. No, he said no. Let's see how he defends that. I mean, okay. Idiocracy, I guess is all you can say, right? This is what PhD, this is what people with a doctorate in physics. Somebody got a degree from Cambridge, and he's saying that putting a 2 and then squaring it doesn't equal 4.
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, you are saying you agree then.
Oh, okay, good. There, saved himself. So Tony's wrong. Butthole McTooney. Why don't you tell him he's wrong?
It has 4 times the energy.
I'm agreeing it has 4 times the energy. I'm saying
Right.
Okay, so what's he going to say? That it is not 4 times the fuel? So it's a free energy formula. Okay. Shit, you should have told me. Okay, yeah, I'm perfectly satisfied. If you want to argue that it's a free energy formula, that's fine. I'll take that too, because that'll be funny.
it doesn't require 4 times the force.
Right.
So he's saying it won't require 4 times the force. Is that what he just said? Okay, that's the key point. So somehow I'll get 4 times the energy, but I won't have to put in 4 times the force to do it.
Sorry, Michael, you wanted to say something about that?
No, he just keeps going back to the assertion that it is our claim when it is not our claim. Pretty standard flat earther tactic.
All right, well, what am I getting wrong? Is energy force or not? You don't believe
No, energy is not force.
No, it's not.
Okay,
Energy is force times distance.
force.
So I don't know what force really is, right? I mean, even if you do force times distance, I'm just saying, I mean, if you do, what are they going to do? Force times distance is force? No, that doesn't work. Well, I'll wait and see.
Energy is force times distance.
Energy is force times distance. So we just know that energy is, and it's all these different things. So somehow energy is force times distance, and energy is 1/2 mv squared. I don't think so. I think when Newton wrote the word force, and he says it's a change in your momentum, I think he was being pretty explicit that force is momentum, and momentum is energy. He didn't have the word energy then. Quantity of motion.
Force is
what's force?
well, force is the change of momentum at time.
E equals 1/2 mv squared. You're saying that if I move something twice as fast, it doesn't have 4 times the energy.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, you are saying you agree then it has 4 times the energy.
I'm agreeing it has 4 times the energy. I'm saying
Right.
it doesn't require 4 times the force.
Right.
Okay, so we say it doesn't require 4 times the force. So we know there's no distance in here that's going to fix any of this. So, he's basically saying somehow I don't have to put in 4 times of something to get 4 times out. So I can get 4 times the energy, but I don't have to put in 4 times the whatever that I use to move it. So it's just free energy. I mean, this is disgusting word playing here. This is just, they're just evading the subject by playing semantics games. It's just so fucking petty and stupid. And these people should be accountable. This is a scientist playing this game.
I'm trying to finish the point. Okay, so you're saying it makes 4 times the energy, but I don't need 4 times the force to make it happen.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So I just can't do it anymore. I can't do this. I can't do it. It's just so bad. So you don't need 4 times the force to get 4 times the energy. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just too ridiculous. Oh, just a quickie there. Yeah, when they say force times distance, when they use this distance argument, it can't possibly mean anything in cases like an explosion, right? Because the explosion, there's no distances involved. It's just such bullshit. All right, well, I'll try to endeavor to persevere. Let's keep going.
So it's a magical extra amount of, I use the same force, and somehow I get a magical increase.
You're mangling units again. That's what you're doing.
No, I'm just asking you.
No, there's no unit here. It's fuel. You could just say the force is going to be the fuel. I don't need 4 times the fuel to make 4 times the energy. Of course I do.
To explain.
So as I was in the middle of explaining when you suddenly started yelling at me.
Someone has 2 times
So if
the
you apply,
how much force?
you can apply either the same force over 4 times the distance, or
You can apply the same force over 4 times the distance. So how, it just doesn't make any sense. How can I apply it over 4 times the distance? How can I change the experiment? I mean, it's a car. What are you talking about? I either fuel it with more fuel or not. I don't have distance to play with. There's no distance. It's just nonsense. What's the fuel that makes the car go, you fucking idiot? How exactly are you measuring the distance? Well, the chemical moved, the atom moved, and the electron moved 678 picometers in 0.4 seconds. And so, and it did that 6,793,084,000 times. What are you talking about? It's fuel. I use a certain amount of fuel to get a certain amount of momentum out of my car. Retarded.
or 4 times the force over the same distance, or any combination thereof. You could apply 8 times the force over half the distance, or half the force over 8 times the distance. Because energy is equal to force times distance, it's not just equal to force. You've left out the distance term in your analysis, and so your claim that the multiple for energy transfers straight to force is completely inaccurate.
If a force is causing the motion, the force has to be equivalent to the output. There's just no, you can't do it any other way. Obviously, it isn't 4 units of force when something falls 4 units of distance. It's obviously not. The velocity proves that it's not. Oh, God damn.
All right, Gary.
He
muted me. Motherfucker.
The other point that I would make here is that all of the cases, all of the examples that you've used, for instance, a bullet and a gun, there's no equivalence in energy between the energy assigned to the gun and the energy assigned to the bullet.
And there's no equivalency in energy. So what does that mean? I mean, how many times do you have to go over it? It's the same momentum, and it's completely insanely lopsided kinetic energy. Yeah, I'm back. Don't know why I was interrupted, but I was. But
each of these objects receives a different amount of energy. I also want to go back to Newton's cradle. In order for Newton's cradle to work properly,
So he's doing this nonsense about Newton's cradle, which is totally irrelevant because he's not even going to talk about the Newton's cradle with the 3-to-1 mass ratio. When you're not changing the masses, there's no kinetic energy momentum conflict. They're both conserved in those cases. The point is they're not, energy isn't conserved or momentum isn't conserved when you change the masses. Well, clearly momentum always is conserved, and it's kinetic energy that gets all fucked up. Because it's a bullshit theory. There isn't any such energy. That's why you can't conserve it, is because it doesn't exist. I can't believe these people are this stupid. This is what a college education gets?
In order for Newton's cradle to work properly, you have to conserve both energy and momentum. You have to conserve.
Yeah, we can't do it if you have masses that are uneven. So do it with a 1-to-2 mass, or do it with a 1-to-3 mass, and then talk to me about what's conserved. I mean, they're just so fucking dishonest and stupid. So nowhere have I ever made any claims when you don't change the masses.
Both of them. If you don't, Newton's cradle doesn't work. If I've got 2 bodies and they swing down and crash into one another.
Of course it does work. You can have a perfect oscillating Newton's cradle with uneven masses. It'll go back and forth and oscillate, 100 times. So again, he says it doesn't work. Well, of course, yes, it does work.
There are an infinite number of combinations of velocities, even if they've got the same mass. There are an infinite. I could, for instance, swing down a mass with velocity v. It gives 2v to the other mass, and then it rebounds with velocity minus v.
They're legally.
So too bad. Oh dear, that still matches
the momentum. The reason that doesn't happen is because the energy of the system is conserved.
I'm saying you have no physical evidence. You have no physical evidence.
Yes, the fact that Newton's cradle work as they do is physical evidence that both energy and.
So I'm going to point to, the 1-to-3 mass ratio on the Newton's cradle that makes free momentum. So how's it conserved? I had 100 going in this way. I end up with 150 going this way. And then obviously I could just increase another mass and I could have 200. And then I can have 250. And then I can 300. I can just keep increasing how much momentum I have. So I could just knock something very small into a series of weights. And I can take a tiny amount of momentum, 100, and I can end up with 1,000 by the time I get to the end. Or I could make an infinite. Infinite, he says so. He says infinite's okay.
And momentum are conserved. If it was just momentum doesn't apply any uniqueness to the solution of the system.
I'm sorry, it's just nonsense to talk about it when we're making a comparison when you're using different masses. If you use all the same mass, there's no disagreement about the oscillator. Okay, you're just saying the numbers are different. You're saying it's 300 joules, I'm saying it's 150. Okay, so that's all the difference. We're talking
You're going to have to repeat that because you're not making any sense, sir.
So he said it again. It's making perfectly good sense. If you're using the same mass, all you're going to say is that the joules of energy is different, but it'll be the same amount going back and forth. So whether you use momentum or you use kinetic energy, there'll be a perfect consistency in what's on both sides because the masses are the same. Oh, God, they can't be this fucking stupid. This has got to be some sort of... yeah, maybe it is a conspiracy, yeah. You're always saying, because why would they make these arguments that are so obviously stupid? I mean, if I don't change the mass, I can't possibly be changing anything but the amount of the kinetic energy, not the proportionality of the kinetic energy. If there's a one mass on this side and a one mass on this side, obviously I can't change the amount of kinetic energy or momentum. Neither one of them changes. But if you put a one mass and a three mass, well, now you're changing shit.
Well, it says to you, I don't need to repeat it, I'll just get to this point, right? I already illustrated before. This is an experiment, okay? Now, it's been done. People will claim this is actually happening, okay? That I can take 100 momentums in a light object, I can hit an heavy object, and I get 150 momentums going this way, and I'll get a rebound of 50 this way.
That doesn't happen, sir.
Okay, so you heard him say that doesn't happen. Okay, so Dispar, are you watching? You morons, are you watching? This asshole just said it doesn't happen. Sir, he even said. When obviously this is Professor Lewin's cart, except it's a 2 mass instead of a 3, and so instead of 150 it's 133, so you get 33% more momentum instead of, not 33%, you get 1/4 more momentum, where in the other case you get a full 50% more momentum. It's actually 200, it's actually 100% more momentum, but you get the other 50 going the other way. But anyway, so he just said it doesn't happen.
Okay. Professor Lewin does the experiment and asserts it does happen.
Well, then Professor Lewin is talking shit.
Okay, then Professor Lewin's talking total shit. So I'm just saying, so for the record, he claimed it doesn't happen.
Let's pull it up right now. No. We can pull it up right now.
Momentum, sir.
We have the ability to get that video right now. So what specific Lewin video you're talking about, I'll find it.
Okay, I have to remember the title was, it might have had Kinetic, but no, it's Momentum. Momentum's in the title. It's the 100 series. It's about around the 15th video in the lecture series. So you look for 1.1, as whatever they call it, the physics 100 or whatever. I actually have the clip somewhere, but I can't think of where I have it, frankly. But I've shown it millions of times, actually, about 3 dozen times, because it's such an important experiment. So he clearly uses air carts. He takes a 1 mass and a 2 mass. Okay, so we're only talking about 133.
His classical mechanics series, is that the one, right?
Yeah, it's in there.
Right.
And like I said, momentum should be in the title, conservation of momentum.
Okay.
And he does 2 air cart experiments.
Work, kinetic energy, potential energy, gravitation, conserved forces. That's got the pendulum in it. That's the popular one where he's standing in front of the pendulum.
Oh, yeah, that's the first one.
That's not the one?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a show one.
Let's see, lecture 15, momentum, conservation, momentum.
There you go.
Okay, so that's a 52-minute video, so it's going to be, right, we need to find the right parts.
If you can slide through it, you'll see there's a point where he shows the air track, and he's doing an air track experiment.
All right, well, let's get it up here.
It's like at about 15 minutes in.
So I don't know if that's all worth it going through this, but yeah, obviously I explained it to him. I told him what video it is, so he did find it. Okay, he wasted some time getting to the actual card experiment, so we'll jump ahead a little bit.
But there's an explosive inside, and all of a sudden it goes boom. It explodes. Well, before it, the speed is 0.
All right, so I pointed out that's the wrong experiment. So, well, anyway, we'll play a little bit. It doesn't matter.
And so,
well, no, it does matter. It's just Professor Lewin, so let's not do that. Let's try to get to the right place.
It must give the more massive car half the speed than it gives the other car. And so we're going to redo this experiment now with...
So he kept mooting me, so I couldn't really, I don't know what parts I got to say something or not or whatever. So we just did the simple experiment where, you launch two cars of the same mass, they go away at the same speed. And now he's going to do the experiment where there's a one-mass cart and a two-mass cart, and obviously the two-mass cart has 1/2 the velocity, perfectly consistent with Newton's third law. The momentum is perfectly conserved and the kinetic energy is now starting to break. You have more kinetic energy going in the light car than you have in the heavy car.
A car here which is twice the mass, and this one...
Okay, let me just zoom ahead. We've been there and done these experiments already, so that's not that interesting. Alright, so this is the one with the spring, so this should be it.
Kinetic energy is 0.
Oh no, he hasn't cut the string yet. Okay, so it's still the same one. Well, I'll just play this so you see it.
I have to 0 the timers. Oh, and I would like to make a prediction.
Oh,
I would like to see... We'll measure T1, and then we'll measure T2, and then we get a number, and we get a number, and if we multiply this number by 2.00, then I would like to get this number, within the uncertainties of the measurements. There is always an uncertainty in any measurement that you do. All right? Make sure that either timer 0. Okay, there we go.
All right, hope you noticed how clean these carts were. Not a smudge on them, nothing. It's quite obvious one is twice as long as the other one. It's quite... Well, I should back that up just to prove the point. So, so this is what the carts could have looked like in the other experiment. So just understand. So why did he use a different set of carts?
We'll measure T1, and then we'll measure T2, and then we get a number, and we get a number, and if we multiply this number by 2.00, then I would like to get this number, within the uncertainties of the measurements. There is always an uncertainty in any measurement that you do. All right? Make sure that either timer 0.
Okay, so just look how clean the carts are. Okay, there's no... Oh, there is a little strip of clay on this one. All right. So the lighter cart has a strip of clay on it for whatever reason. It doesn't have the spring. I guess that's why. Well, it has a spring on this side. But this big spring appears to be attached to this cart, so that's why the clay is on this one. It's a little thin strip of clay. It's not a big blob of clay like in the other case. But clearly this is what two mass looks like. All right. So are we all following along? Okay. Is this too complicated for you? This is what a two mass looks like compared to a one mass cart. Yeah, it still doesn't make any sense. There's only one weight on this car, so how could it weigh twice as much? All right, well, anyway, let's play along.
Okay, there we go.
The fact is, they're very clean. That's the point. And why does he use some other cart in the next experiment? That's the point. So this cart had to be heavier. It has the big spring on it, too. So that doesn't make any sense at all, frankly. And the timer's way behind here. Why is it so far behind? That's interesting. I didn't notice that before. It already went through the gate. Well, maybe it didn't. No, it didn't. Okay. Now it did. Alright, so it's twice, it took twice as long for the twice as heavy cart to go through. Just about. I mean, it's a little bit off. Maybe it's off because of the stupid fucking clay on the cart. But anyway. Alright, so let's continue. Alright. So that proved nothing. So let's see if he said anything.
Would you expect the twice as heavy goes 1/2 the velocity, the 1/2 the mass goes?
Everything that we say is right. Awesome.
Everything we say is right. Awesome. I don't even know what that means, but the point is that Newton's third law is working for momentum, but it's not going to work for kinetic energy. So if you calculate the kinetic energy of the two carts, it's not the same kinetic energy. Alright, so this is getting closer. So he did waste an awful lot of time. I kept saying, just go to the experiment. Why are you doing all this other crap? Oh, fuck.
What kind of uncertainties do we have? It's hard to tell. But I would say, as I argued last time, that you should allow for at least about 2.5% uncertainty in each time. If it comes out better, then you...
So he also wouldn't, because everything was deteriorating, he wouldn't play the second air track experiment at the end of the video where they're supposed to be inelastic and stick to each other, and they bounce instead, and the numbers are completely different, completely consistent with momentum. So when there's no spring and they bounce, momentum is perfectly conserved, and when they use a spring and do the experiment, momentum isn't conserved in the sense that you make free momentum.
You're lucky. If it comes out worse, then it is a bad day. 2.5%, and I argued last time how I reasoned about the 2.5%. Now we do this experiment, we get a certain T1. And so this one goes back with 1/3 of the speed, so it will take 3 times longer to go 10 centimeters. So I'm going to multiply this time by 1/3, and whatever comes out should be the same as this. So let me move this up a little. 194 and 196. Only 2 milliseconds difference. That is an incredible result. 0.194.
So those are the same mass carts again. Who cares? Not controversial. So here's the picture of the two carts next to each other, and you can see there's a lump of clay smushed up on this one, and you can also see that these weights don't make any sense. This car's supposed to be twice as heavy. Well, this one has 2 springs on it, this one only has 2 springs on it, so it's not going to be twice as heavy. This one has a weight, this one only has 1 weight, not going to be twice as heavy. So it just is bullshit.
And let me use my calculator. 375 divided by 3. I could have done that by heart, of course. This is 0.125.
Okay, the funny thing is he got it the wrong answer when he did it by heart. Oh no, that was the other video where he did it by heart and got the wrong answer.
An amazing agreement. Amazing. Only 2% off, less than 2%. Now here, 0.186 times 2 divided by 3, 0.124. I can't believe it.
Wow.
Right, and so what he just made was free momentum. So he put 100 momentums in the cart was going this way in the one mass cart. It had a momentum of, let's just say, 100 mass times velocity, and then when it left as the heavier cart, it had 133. So no doubt that extra momentum was going in the direction the cart was moving. So extra momentum is going this way. Now they say because 33 momentums is going back, that somehow something actually moving in the universe this way cancels something moving in the universe this way. That's actually their theory. So if I had a box called the universe, and I put something in with 100, and then it hit something, and 133 went this way, and 33 went this way, and they're now trapped in the box, they don't understand that, well, that's 166. I'm going to put 100 in, and 166 worth of a momentum is going to bounce around in the box. Obviously, you've created free energy. I mean, it's so simple an argument.
Less than 1% off. So you see in front of your eyes that we were able to create something that was indeed extremely close to elastic collisions, in spite of all the problems that we have air drag.
So it's exactly what I said before, when the guy said that doesn't happen. So he just showed it happening. Okay, 100 in, 133 out.
And that, of course, there's always some loss.
All right. So Gary, here you go. I'll just put this up right now. Right there. We've got this right here. Right here. Just there you go.
So again, he kept
sorry. Let me go back to this. All right. So Tony, Gary, go ahead.
So I don't know.
All right, so the clear conclusion is that 100 momentums went in, 133 went away with the cart going this way, and 33 went this way. In my opinion,
the total momentum is conserved.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, this is what you had. You started with just one.
No, so I said that in the first example. I said it's, I didn't argue that it wasn't conserved instead of opposite directions. I just made the simple point that you're making free momentum in a direction. And I used the pendulum example because then you have to explain how when 150 comes in and 50 comes in, only 100 pops out. Because that doesn't happen in car crashes. All car crashes are run by momentum. You can't have canceling momentum in a car crash. Doesn't ever happen. Nothing ever cancels. The cars have to crush. There has to be heat created. You can never cancel momentum. So the point is that if the pendulums fly off with 150 and 50, well, they can't come together and only push out 100 again. They can't lose half the momentum. So that's why it's a much better example, because it oscillates over and over again, redoing the cycle. 200 momentums, 100 momentums. 200 momentums in, 100 momentums out. 200 momentums in, 100 momentums out. It keeps doing that. Oscillators don't work that way.
Object moving with 100, and now you have two objects in the universe moving with a total of 166.
Oh my gosh.
So in my opinion, that's...
Oh my gosh.
Then you don't understand how vectors work.
I don't understand how...
So they think when something's going that way in the universe and something's going that way in the universe, they're canceling each other. The recoiling gun cancels the bullet. So the bullet never hits anything because you canceled it with the recoiling gun, obviously. It's canceled. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. We canceled it. It's just so fucking stupid. I mean, it's absolutely the same as the bullet and the gun, right? You can understand, right? If I have an impact and I have two things flying away, it's just like the gun shot the two objects, and I should assume that the explosion produced no energy, right? That's what their argument is, basically. Well, the energy's canceled, and yes, one guy's dead and the other guy got the recoil, and so actual physical things happen, and all that heat has to go somewhere in the universe, but we'll pretend the heat doesn't matter, because that's not real energy either. I mean, what the fuck could be the possible explanation? How can you say the bullet is canceled by the recoiling gun? How the fuck can a rational person say that?
How energy cancels. Yes, I don't believe energy ever cancels. It never happens.
Hilarious.
So we're back to the pendulum argument. So let's do the pendulum example of this exact experiment. So here's the pendulum
No.
example.
Gary.
Oh, so he won't let me do it.
Gary, your own citation 100% destroyed you, Gary.
Oh, so there's absolutely no 100% being destroyed. It's just bullshit. We've been over this for years. So fuck you, liar.
Okay, so
You don't see that.
right?
It's embarrassing. This is Gary. This is like hold on.
Okay, I'll just replay. I'm just going to take the clip of you denying the fundamental aspect of what the formula says, and I'll just take that click and embarrass you. You're such a slimy sack of shit.
Gary, I want to say this is like in that portion, that movie.
So he's going to make another stupid analogy. This is like watching a turd spin in the toilet. You're an asshole. You're a fucking piece of shit. You know, Mr. Hanky.
Few Good Men, where he's up on the stand and he says a bunch of stuff that incriminates himself, and Tom Cruise.
This is like the Catholic Church with
Tom Cruise, hold on.
rationalizations for nonsense. Okay, you've lost the argument.
And Tom Cruise says, all
pretending you
right,
won.
hold on. Just let me finish talking.
So he muted me again. So he can do his Tom Cruise impersonation.
All right, and Tom Cruise says, basically, he's like, he totally just screwed himself. Give him a little grace, get him off the stand. He has rights, and that's what has happened right here, right now, in front of everybody. Gary,
Okay, so you pwned yourself when you said 5 times the velocity isn't 25 times the energy. So you're already cooked also, and I'm not cooked by this. Obviously, a free momentum experiment clearly doesn't debunk me. Okay, so it will be demonstrated when the experiment's done correctly. All right, that you're the one full of shit, because you can't make free momentum in a direction, because it's free energy, you dumb retard.
You have demonstrated.
Okay, so I'm just saying. All right, so this is these people just. It's so obnoxious. So for any idiot in the audience who doesn't quite get what they're saying and what they're defending, the real experiment is you have a small amount of energy, 100. You just bang into a bigger object and you'll gain momentum. So now you'll 150, right? So if I make this a 3 mass, and I can make it a 9 mass, okay, and I'll be up to 220, I think. And then I can make it a, 16 mass, we'll just say, and then it's going to be 372 or something. And I can just keep going. I just keep increasing the mass, and I can hang them all from a pendulum, and then I can have this next to a building, and I can just knock the building over okay, by flicking my finger here. I could just flick my finger at this end and knock the building down. That's the implications of what they're defending. It's a free energy concept. You can't have an increase in power going in the same direction without adding more energy. I can't make something have more power in the same direction without adding energy. Oh, God. Stupid fuckers.
Perfectly that you do not understand this topic and that your own citation destroyed your claims.
I just proved you
You can't handle the truth.
Ah, fuck you. I mean, they're just such lying scum.
Wasting your life on a delusional.
I mean, that's their whole tactic, just declare victory. Don't actually make an argument. Don't actually prove anything, because it's physics, it's science. Science was proven the same way you prove religion. Just say Allah, 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 up to Allah or something, and everything's fine. I don't have to worry about evidence.
150 comes out, then the two things crash, it disappears, then you make it again, then you disappear, then it makes it again, then it disappears, you make it again, it disappears. Nonsense theory, you are owned.
Okay, so I'm just just saying, they won't take account for their own theory. They're claiming that's what happens, that somehow an oscillating pendulum creates 200 momentums, then only 100, then 200, then 100, then 200, then 100.
You're just babbling absolute
No,
nonsense.
you're an idiot.
That's what they're talking about.
Nobody. I call you first. Okay, I remember your glue. Whatever the bullshit is.
You were just shown to be wrong by direct experiment, sir. And this was something that you introduced as evidence because you
Right. And I'll reassert my point that I can show that he.
It's free energy. They just don't. I mean, why are you defending an experiment that creates free energy? I mean, it's just too stupid.
Fake the experiment.
You can't show anything of the sort, sir.
Oh, so he puts up the Wikipedia page, which I have debunked all of the Wikipedia pages. So go to the website, and it's all there on every single subject regarding physics.
Anyway, I need to go.
Law of play doesn't
All right, thanks,
lie.
Tony. All right, so here's momentum, the conservation of momentum right here in a closed system, the one that doesn't exchange with any surroundings. The total momentum remains consistent. This fact is known as the law. The law of conservation of momentum is implied by Newton's laws of motion. You just watched it. Suppose, for example, that two particles interact as.
You're right. So they say you can cancel energy. So again, I'll just point out again, if I make a Newton's cradle, where two balls, and I give them both energy, and they crash into each other and crash back out again, it'll keep going, and it's perfectly fine because it doesn't run out of energy. But if I stop them from moving, that is, I cancel them, all right, then they burn a piece of paper. Why? Because you can't cancel energy. It has to go somewhere. So if a 150 comes in this way and a 50 is going this way, you can't cancel 100 of it. You'd have to make heat or something. And it wouldn't oscillate. If you were losing half the energy every time they hit, you lost half the energy, it wouldn't bounce very long. So it's kind of obvious that they're not canceling the energy.
Explained by the third law. All right, hold on. Just a second. As explained by the third law, the forces between them are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. If the particles are numbered 1 and 2, the second law states that F1 equals dP1.
Yeah, and it's all part of what I'm clearly disputing. It's absolute nonsense. You can't cancel energy. What's the point of having the first law of thermodynamics if you're going to argue you can cancel it? Oh, you can never destroy energy. So you have to explain where the fuck it is.
Over dt, and F2 equals dP2 over dt. Therefore, dP1 over dt equals negative, and that's what you ignored, dP2 over dt.
No,
All right.
So they're basically saying there's something called unenergy. Somehow because it's going this way, it's unenergy. Yeah, okay. No. No, that's bullshit. That's nonsense. Unenergy.
So that's what you did, Gary. We just literally watched the evidence happen.
Okay, so whatever. There's, just absolute bullshit.
Kinetic liars. You wouldn't even let me explain why his experiment was flawed. It had clear flaws in it, a mechanical flaw. All right, the weights couldn't be what he claimed them to be. It's impossible. If you
Well, then you have the burden of proof to reproduce the experiment.
No, the burden of proof is look at the cards. Why is the clay on the cart?
You wouldn't even listen to the burden of proof.
No, you made claims. You made blind faith religious claims. Blind faith.
Yes,
blind
visual.
faith.
You can
Absolutely.
see
Your religion is making lies about Walter Lewis'
I didn't lie
experiment.
about anything.
So
I never
go
lied.
reproduce
You're a
that
liar.
experiment
You're a liar.
yourself.
Okay, I never lied.
Go reproduce. You obviously, I mean, there's hundreds of people that just watch you lie about it right here,
I never
right in front of
lied.
everybody.
Okay,
Well, then
you're a liar.
prove.
You're a liar.
Oh, it's just disgusting. I mean, I told him ahead of time when he was playing it, you gotta, look at the cards, and he wouldn't do it. That's the part he muted me out of.
Liar.
Yeah,
I never lied about anything.
Prove that he lied. I mean, you're asserting that he lied. So you're going to have to prove that he did that by going and getting it.
You wouldn't let me.
No.
The proof is visual. You can see.
No, it's not. No, it's
Yes,
not.
It is.
He has masses on there.
Things attached to it. You can see what's attached to the card.
and that's obviously done so that they're the same multiples of masses.
I'm sorry.
That's called a controlling for a compounding variable.
Yeah. So whatever. So you won't do it, and the point is that I'd rather just argue the theory. Do you really think you can put 100 in and get 150 going the same way? Do you really think when a ball bearing bounces on an anvil that it's putting twice the energy into the anvil with every bounce? That, it has 100 bits of energy and it puts 200 into the anvil, and it just keeps doing that. Twice as much energy goes into the anvil every time it bounces.
Heavy. The evidence doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. You can't. If you're going to make it twice as heavy, you have to have twice as many extra things added to it, and instead of twice as many,
you would have. What you do is you would go measure the mass of one and measure the mass of the other, and say, "Oh, look."
He didn't do that.
Well, he didn't do it on camera.
That's right.
Of course,
he didn't
yes.
do it on camera. That's
yeah,
right.
He
The
doesn't.
experiment didn't work.
Yeah,
the experiment didn't work, and that's why I had to fudge the masses.
All right, crybaby Gary. All right, tell you what, Gary. Thanks for coming, Gary. You've been a horrible person.
You're a piece of fucking lying suck.
There's a reason why nobody wants to debate you because
you're cowards. You show right in this debate why you're a coward. You didn't show a single piece of physical evidence, not one. You claimed guns.
I didn't need to, Gary.
You
provided the evidence contradicting your claims. I didn't have to. You did that. The first law of Flirt was proven again. So, Gary, thanks a lot.
Moron, you fucking dupe.
Anything you'd like to say on your way out, Gary?
Yeah, get what you deserve, fucker. You're a menace to science. You and your cartoon channel. You're a fucking menace to logic, reasoning, science, dignity. You are an insult to the human fucking race.
And the projection is heavy, dude. All right, thanks a lot, Gary.
Yeah, fuck you. God, you're a piece of suck. I just hope you get what you fucking deserve, you lying sack of shit.
Bye, Gary.
Get your what you deserve.
Bye, Gary. The bottom right is the exit button on the. There you go. Woo. That. Right there.
So he ended it badly, right? He called me the terrible person, this, and all this other crap, right? So he invited me to do exactly the same thing and say, yeah, I hate your fucking cunt guts too. Let's just quit let's quit the pretense. I think you're an exploitionist. I think you're a child molester, essentially, with your lies and your bullshit. You're sitting here picking on retards. What's the difference? Child molester, retard molester. All right? And that's what you're doing to make money, you fucking crass piece of shit. And these fucking morons applaud you for it. So instead of dealing with the fact that your science is flawed as fuck, and that maybe you should pay some attention to, instead you're wasting your time mocking the retarded.
Good job, Gary. What an awful person he is. Is there no surprise why nobody wants to debate him? He sits there, he's like, for 8 years I've tried to debate people. It's because you're a jerk, man.
Coward. You're a fucking coward. You're a lying fucking coward.
But I did absolutely love showing that he contradicted himself. And even though
All right, so I'll show it for you too then. Oh, God, you're such a piece of skanky shit. He showed nothing. Again, he showed free momentum being created. Okay, do I find that threatening in some way? No, I don't. Somehow I don't find the free momentum experiment threatening.
he's not a flat earther, the first law of Flirt applies. You see, the laws of Flirt aren't just about flat earthers.
The first law of lying shyster is, kick him out of the room as soon as you can't deal with the argument. Again, there was no reason to kick me out of the room, right? There was no reason to end anything, right? I was still there. I was still ready to argue the argument.
It was unintentional. The laws of Flirt apply more broadly than to just flat earthers. They appear to apply. I mean, more research is necessary, but they appear to apply to science deniers and conspiracy theorists in general. More research will need to be done, of course.
Yeah, well, you've been outed in this video. You're a liar, a cheater. You use all kinds of bullshit tactics. You interrupt people when they're talking. You say, make a 5-minute argument, and then you make a 9-minute argument. I mean, you couldn't even do that honorably, you piece of shit. Ugh. And you didn't even address my argument. You talked about mathematics. My argument didn't have any mathematics in it. It had a list of experiments in it, and you didn't discuss any of them. And when you had to, you sat there and said something completely idiotic, which, no, the formula doesn't say that, when that's explicitly what squaring the velocity does. It squares the amount of energy. Oh. All right, well, we'll probably leave it there because this video's getting kind of long. All right, so we'll save some for later. Oh, God, I just hate these scumbags.